If you are relatively new in your online coaching business, you're starting out, and you are trying to figure out why no one is buying your offer, or you're not even there yet, you're doing market research to try and figure out what it is that you could offer, but you're not really getting any bites or responses or an interest in what it is you want to offer, and you're trying to figure out what's going on, that's what we're going to talk about today. All right, so let's jump right into it. This video tutorial is inspired by one of my students in one of my flagship courses, Employed Entrepreneur, where she recently asked, because she has a sales background, and so she wanted to build a sales coaching business. And she asked, hey, I've been talking to a lot of people and they are not that interested in sales coaching. What they're looking for is really more of the branding, business coaching type stuff. And does that mean there's no market for sales coaching and I should do business coaching, right? And so there are a couple of things I'm going to share really to walk through that scenario. And this applies no matter what industry you're in. I'm just using this student as an example so that we have something tangible to refer to. So first of all, what you always want to avoid, and I say this with love, is coaching on something that you don't have the experience in to help your clients get results. You don't necessarily need a certification or a degree. Again, there are some exceptions, right, where legally that's required, but in general, it's more about your ability to help a client get the results that they're coming to you for. And what I mean by this is I actually quite often get students who come to me and say, I'm so passionate about building a business, can I do business coaching? And the truth of that is not right now. Right? Ultimately, if you build a business or two, you've learned your own skills, you've gotten results for yourself first, then that's a completely different story. But if you're starting out, you're joining programs to learn about building your own online business, and it's your first business of any sort, you're not in a position to be helping others build their own businesses as well. And again, I say that with love. There's no, that doesn't mean that you can't do that down the road, but you always want to start with what you know. Side tangent, or I mean, not a side tangent, but a side note, which is very important. When I say this, sometimes my students will say to me, and in case you're wondering, hey, but I'm not as passionate about what it is that I do know right now. Guess what? You don't have to be passionate about that, right? Most of the people who come to me, very likely if you're watching this, what you're interested in is building a business that gives you the freedom, the income, the life that you want to live outside of the 9-to-5. That's very likely one of your top goals. Of course, you want to do something that you don't hate, but you don't necessarily need to find your life's passion in your first business. That's where I was when I started my first online business. I was in a job doing digital advertising at the time, and so I took that skill and did digital advertising consulting. I knew I wasn't going to be doing it forever. It was definitely not my life's passion, but I was interested in it. I was good at it, and it was good enough to help me build a business that allowed me to leave my 9-to-5. Then after that, after I built that to 6 figures, after I'd really shown my results and people started asking me, hey, how'd you do it? Then I naturally transitioned into the business that I have now. So it can absolutely happen. You can go really any direction with your business, but where you start is the best place to start is with what you know. All right. So with that aside, what that covered, what I want to go through now is basically my recommendations for if you're in a similar position where you're wanting to offer something and the people you've done market research with haven't really expressed an interest in what it is you have to offer, and also or if you have already skipped past market research, or maybe you didn't do it, no judgment, although I highly recommend that you do, but where you've started creating an offer and you're trying to put it out there and sell it, but nobody is buying. What do you do? How do you troubleshoot? Does it mean that you need to switch industries? Does it mean that your offer's not working? No, most likely not. So there are a few things that you want to really think through and analyze. The first one, which is really, really important, is who are you talking to, right? So whenever you are doing market research, whenever you're sharing an offer, you always want to be aware of who is this really for. Now, the thing you have to be aware of here is you have to think about a few things. You've probably heard of the ideal client avatar, what that person looks like, what they do. That's great. That's not what we're talking about right now, although that does apply as well. What we are talking about is a few things. First, you need to be speaking to someone who already wants the solution that you have to offer. What does that mean? That means they are aware of the problem, excuse me, I'm just not speaking well right now, the problem that you are going to help them solve, right? They're aware of the problem, they want to solve the problem, and they want the solution to the problem. Those three things. It's not the same thing to have someone want to solve the problem versus want to have the solution to the problem. You can want to, lose weight, look good, find a new job, find a new partner or a date, but not be at the point yet where you care enough to actually do something about it. That's the difference. And so those things need to be in place. Now, what that means is where on their customer journey are they in terms of those three things? So to get more specific, again, to use my student as an example, she was speaking to a lot of really, really new entrepreneurs, really in the same kind of place that she was in her business starting out, because that's who she was connecting with. She was wanting to build accountability partners and really connect with others who were in the same place as her. And so what that ended up doing was that, guess what? All of those people were focused on not so much on sales yet, but on the same kinds of things that she was, like figuring out how to market themselves, right? So sales wasn't even something that they were thinking about yet. And that's what caused her to think, oh, nobody wants sales coaching, right? And so what you want to do instead is you want to be thinking about, you want to just sit down and write down, where does someone need to be to want the solution that I have to offer? Again, using the student as an example, for her audience is someone who has already started their business, someone who has most likely made a sale or two or way more, right? And someone who now knows that, hey, I know I need to work on the marketing. I know there's room for improvement there, but I'm starting to kind of get the hang of it a little bit. Now I really need to work on my sales skills, my ability to sell on a sales call, my comfort level with that, not feeling or being salesy, all of those things. And so that for her was the biggest differentiator. And this is really important because often when you're doing, for example, an ideal client avatar exercise, you might start thinking, okay, I need to change up the gender or the age or the industry that they're in. Maybe, maybe not, depending on what it is you do. Often though, it's about this factor, where they are on their customer journey, that makes a way bigger difference. So that is the top reason, to be honest, that if you're making offers and no one's interested, what's going on? And or if you're trying to do market research and people are saying, I don't think I'm interested in this, that's very likely what's going on. So that's the first piece, right? Where someone is, making sure they're in the right place, they've got that awareness of the problem, awareness that there is a solution and a desire to have that solution, to implement it, to use it, to solve that problem right now. So those are the things that you want to be thinking through. Where does someone have to be on their customer journey in terms of where they are related to what it is you do? So I'm going to give you another example, right? When it comes to, let's say, health coaching, what I often see for a lot of my health coaching clients is that Their ideal clients, at least when they're starting out with one-on-one coaching, is someone who has been trying to lose weight on their own or trying diets or other coaches maybe for a while. And so where they are on their customer journey is they're tired. They're tired of trying diets. They're tired of trying it on their own. They're tired of just not getting the results that they want. And so they're ready to listen to a coach. They're ready to really be committed to it versus, let's say, someone who's just starting out and is like, you know what, maybe I'll look into a coach, but I bet I could do this on my own. And maybe I just need to go on a diet and I'm good, versus someone who is at this point really committed to a lifelong lifestyle change that's going to help them lose the weight and keep it off. So again, another example, just so you can see that difference in the customer journey is huge and often way bigger than, oh, what's the age, what's the industry, what's the gender type of stuff. Okay. Again, there are exceptions, but that's what you want to be thinking about. Now, the second piece that you want to be thinking about is your offer positioned for that person, right? So here's the thing. Again, we'll start with my student as an example. So what she was doing was she was doing sales coaching, or she wanted to do sales coaching. So let's say that she had she just did what I just walked through and recommended, and she switched up who she was targeting and talking to someone who was a bit more advanced in their business. Well, the second thing that she would have to really help them through is, okay, because the second part of her problem was she was like, well, most people would want help making more sales. And yes, that is absolutely one piece of it. But that's not something she is, she's, what I mean by that is they would want the business coaching, right, to make sales. And so what we just talked about earlier, she is not in a position to be helping people with that right now. And so what she would be doing instead that would work better is to really understand, okay, for this new audience that I'm targeting who is more interested in sales coaching, what exactly is it about sales that they are interested in? And at that point, I'll just tell you, because at this point I've worked with quite a few sales coaches through my programs and courses, is the actual ability to do a sales call, to tighten up their entire sales process from application, applying to have the sales call with you, to pre-framing, to the sales call, and to making the sale on the sales call, to maybe following up if necessary, that entire process. And so what that means is this is an audience that has their marketing handled, right? Or maybe not perfect, but good enough where they're starting to generate some leads on their own. And they're just really wanting help tightening up that process. And so what she would speak to is that specific solution versus, hey, I'm going to help you make sales by getting new leads, or I'm going to help you with your funnel, things that she does not have expertise in right now. She would stick to that area that she does have expertise in, but also position it in a way that her audience cares about. So you want to be making sure that what you're offering is to the right audience and in the right way. Versus if she was just saying, hey, I'm going to help you with sales coaching, that's not very specific, and it's not really going to speak to her audience in the way that she's hoping, right? So that is really key. So what that means for you is I want you to be thinking about, for you, all right, are you speaking to the right audience at the right point in their customer journey? And are you making the right offer to that audience, right? So that it's positioned and shared in a way that actually interests them. Those are the two factors you want to be thinking through, because if you do, that is 99.9% of the time going to really turn around the situation where you're doing market research, no one's really expressing interest, and or you're sharing your offer and no one is biting. Now, that's assuming that you're being consistent, you're sharing great content, all of the good basics that I talk about throughout my videos on my YouTube channel. But that aside, this is what's going to make that difference. So I really wanted to think about that, and then let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was, because this is so important. If you get this right, it's going to position you really well to start selling your products more and more, and really have you create this point in your industry where you own a certain niche and really lay the foundation for you to create flagship products, courses, sell them out, and really stand out. All right, and build a business that you want. So again, let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was. If you found this video super helpful, I do have two other things for you. The first is another really useful video, really powerful, valuable video on how to really systematize your products from day one in your business in a way where you're not creating custom plans and payment plans and offers and support for every single person who comes in through the door just because you want to make that sale. I'm going to show you a way to create some core products so that you're creating a real business, right? Where things are systematized, things are set the way they are. You're not having to scramble all the time, and to do so in a way that makes sure that you don't lose out on sales because someone maybe just isn't ready to invest in your full-on one-on-one coaching package yet. So make sure that you check that out. And the other thing I have for you is a free PDF on how to build a six-figure online coaching business. In that PDF, I'm going to walk you through the blueprint for doing so, as well as the top 3 mistakes to avoid that I see so many, we'll leave it at that, so many new coaches making. So I want to make sure that you avoid them. Both of these things, the next video and the PDF, will be on the screen and or linked in the description below. So make sure you check them out and grab them if you want them. All right, so that's it for today. Thanks so much for being here, and I will see you next time.